Everybody, it's Victor. It's time another Eden run here. The Binding of Isaac Victor Repentance Plus series. Happy Tuesday, Mosh Pit. We did not have another video across 2,500 likes yet, but I am waiting for it. There's a couple videos actually from last week that are very, very close, including the one of the one damage to rule them all one. I think most people love that thumbnail just because obviously Lord of the Rings, but definitely go check that out. And of course, thank you all very much for the support. Hope your Tuesday is going off to a great start. It's a quick reminder, don't forget about the YouTube stream coming up tonight in about 6.5 hours or so, depending on what time I do it. So, here's your meme of the day, brought to you by Pizza Punk 98. Great name, by the way. Title of the thread on the Smiggle subreddit. Title of the thread was Isaac art by my boyfriend. And then in the thread, they said, I kindly asked my boyfriend if he would draw me a phone wallpaper to go with my new phone. After a couple of days, this is what he sent me. Thought the Mosh Pit would appreciate it as much as I do. That is some impressive art. I do love that a lot. And that's the kind of art that I need for my phone. So, you know, if your boyfriend wants to do some art for my phone, like Isaac, let me know. We have to see a little Sissy though. We got to see Sissy in it. Otherwise, it's not gonna work out. So thank you very much, Pizza Punk, everyone who uploaded that awesome picture. Today is going to be Papa Delta 79 Tango Papa Charlie Echo. We've got it's Luna. I was like, what is happening to our face here? Then I realized it was Luna. Starting off with Luna, which is a planetarium item, which is going to give us an extra secret room on every single floor, and on top of that, give us a temporary floor-wide tears buff and a half soul heart whenever we do go into the secret rooms. And it's just like a little reward of knowing where the secret rooms are. Obviously, you get to see one thanks to Luna, but you will never see the second one unless you have Blue Map or if you have the Mind or something like that. Our tears rate is not. It's not great. It's not the worst things in sliced bread, but it's like the end. You know where the loaf of bread is just barely past expiration. You know, it's like a day past, and you're like, I don't know. I saw that one documentary about the spores and fungi and stuff like that, but then you're like, kind of hungry. Big dog got to eat. We got to have some sandwiches here. You know, so it's like, I guess I'll take it. It's worth the risk. Let me try. And then, you're throwing. By the way, I do not recommend ever eating moldy bread for the ride. This is kind of a bit thing, but definitely do not ever recommend eating moldy bread. It's not a good idea. Of course, I'm so particular. If we get too close to like a couple days from expiration and something doesn't smell right with the milk or look right with the ham or anything like that, I'm out. I'm out. I'd rather not get sick. There's certain foods that occasionally, if the milk is like borderline, you never want to smell the top of a milk jug, right? Because you're always going to smell the stuff that's kind of dried out near the lid, and that always smells. It doesn't smell rotten. It just smells like old milk. You gotta go past that. You gotta look past the old milk smell and get to the actual good milk, and then just see if it's passable or not. We didn't actually register a hit on that judgment because we didn't have any money. So, and honestly, Lemon Mishap doing some pretty good work. That's our active item. It's going to drop a little lemon puddle on the ground, and any enemies that walk into it are going to have a bad time. This is going to be excellent to help us with the turdlings, especially with other ads and stuff. Basically, we'll just take them out before they even get a chance to. Just go to them right into it. Man, oh man, look at that. Lemon Mishap. Who would have thunk it? We go on to last week's question of the episode. This one coming in. Oh, OBS is blocking the question asker. From Bernard Nelson 3105. It's the question of the episode. How would you explain the lore of Isaac to a friend who knows nothing about it? There were a lot of replies to this one. I didn't read them because I didn't want it to affect my answer. So, how would I explain the lore of the Binding of Isaac to a friend who doesn't know anything about it? The easiest thing that I would say, if they're just talking strictly about the lore, not the game itself, is it is a kid who has had a troubled upbringing, who must escape into his own mind to not have to deal with family issues of alcoholism and dogmatic issues concerning his parents. That's what I would say. He's a very creative, talented little kid who has a very, very smart brain up to a certain point, I would say. But definitely a kid who needs help. And you know, the story of Isaac is sad. If you take it at face value. Now, if you don't take it at face value, you want to go to the deep dive. I still subscribe, and this goes directly against what Ed has said, and he'll tell me I'm wrong. But the way that it's been presented anyway, how I interpret it is that Isaac is actually totally fine in terms of whether or not he's alive or not. That's a big thing, is people want to know, has Isaac perished in the chest? Ed officially has said yes. He doesn't make it out of the chest. He actually unalives. He unalives from 0% oxygen, fam, while being trapped inside of a enclosed thing. I don't know how they deal with it. He dies of suffocation in the chest. Okay, that's what Ed has said. Now, I would have taken that definitely. Except the thing is that Bumbo kind of happened, and when The Legend of Bumbo came out, obviously that game was met with, I think it's fair to say, some mixed feelings. I enjoyed Bumbo greatly just because I'm an Isaac nerd, and once I found out that, hey, this is actually taking place in the same, obviously taking place in the same universe as Isaac, but then you find later on with the true ending of Bumbo that things are way more complicated in that game than just a simple puzzle solver if you care about the lore at all, which most of the time I do not. But when a game has changed your life forever, you kind of have to pay attention to it. At least I do anyway. And for the rest of this floor, those of you who don't, for whatever reason, don't know the true ending of The Legend of Bumbo, feel free to mute this. I'll give you a 5-second cooldown. Countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So if you didn't mute, it's all your fault. Don't come to me saying, "Oh, you ruined Bumbo for me." So obviously, with the true ending of The Legend of Bumbo, it's discovered and found out and revealed that Bumbo is actually Isaac's dad, and he goes on this spiel, which the voice of Bumbo morphs from Bumbo needs coin to the eventual the voice of Isaac's dad, which of course is Matthias, who is a dear friend of mine. And it's really masterful how Matthias morphs his voice to go from the silly slobbering, cartoonish Bumbo voice to the serious dad voice of Isaac's dad. And it's revealed that he is the one who inspired the creativity of Isaac. Talking about diving into worlds that he creates, that he is the Lord of all in. Whenever he's feeling depressed or feeling in danger or feeling sad, he can always go back to this world that him and his dad created. Now, because of that, I always hope for a good ending. I'm one of those sappy folk out there. I like to believe that there is more good than bad. Because of that, I have always interpreted that everything going on in Isaac is just going on in his mind. He's not jumping in basements. He's not fighting demons. It's all internalized, but it's due to his creative mind. And Curse the Blind. So I just wanted to say that. Again, I try to be respectful. Try to be respectful of people who don't know their lore or anything like that. But that is how I interpret the lore of Isaac and how I would explain it to somebody who didn't know who was not in the know. Yeah, I'd rather spend 1 bomb than 2 keys here, even though we only have 2 bombs left. No. I don't trust it. I honestly have never seen an item show up in a 6 room before. At least if I have, I don't remember. Don't trust it. It's Curse the Blind. No, thank you. No me gusta. I don't know how you say I don't trust it. Espanol. Hang on. How? Oh wait. Spanish to English. No, I don't care if it's available in 110 new languages. I don't trust it. No me fio?
No me fío.
No me fio.
No me fío.
No me fio.
No me fío.
Sí. Sí. No me fio. See, now Alex he'll be like, ¿qué? I'd be like, sí. Nuevo Español. He'd say, oh no. I'd say, oh, sí. No me fio. and then he would say, no me fio. One day I will learn to be fluent in another language before the day I die. You do have to learn a certain amount of Spanish down here. I'm always impressed. I was hanging out in just a random German streamer's stream a couple days ago over the weekend. I think it was on Sunday. Trying to get some drops for the game Fellowship, the one I've been talking about, the WoW simulator. What in the world is this map, by the way? Can we just take a look at this for a second before I go any further in this freaking like ram stick looking map here? Anyway, I went to this random German streamer. She was streaming Fellowship, and I needed to get the drops because there's some cool cosmetics you can get from there. And I said after I was done, I said, hey, thank you very much for the drops. It was it was a pleasure being here and just chilling while I was playing Fellowship on my own. And she read it perfectly, and she was like, oh, thank you, Invicta. Obviously, she had a German accent, but she apologized for her English not being very good, and I was like, your English was fine. It sounded better than most people I know who speak English. So it always amazes me how European people, it's so ingrained in y'all's not even education, just culture to like if you don't know multiple languages other than your own, you're cooked. You're cooked. And we as Americans, obviously, I mean, 2 languages in one brain, no one's mind can move at that speed. It's just like I saw a YouTube short, and I don't know how real it was. It looked pretty real, but these days, I mean, who freaking knows? But it was some laptop. It looked like some kind of competition for education, and it was a laptop. There was a little kid, 2 kids. One was a boy, one was a girl, and they were standing what looked like to be a spelling bee, except there was on the video they were showing the screen of a laptop, and this laptop was flashing like -24, +79, -6, +60, -72, -3, like very simple arithmetic, but it was extremely fast. It was once every half second or so from what I could gather, and the object was for these kids to say what was the solution. And so the little boy went up first, and he was like, oh yeah, that's 22 or whatever. And I was sitting there. It took me a while to figure out what the hell they were even doing. And then the girl goes up, and she was like 75, and they both got him right. I was like, what the heck? This is the level of intellect that kids have to go up against now? Oh, they're screwed. They're screwed. They're too busy playing iPad and Fortnite. I don't even know if kids play Fortnite anymore. You got these super geniuses here acting faster than most computers, than most people can type. And I was just like, man, that is the brain. And ironically, neither one of them were American, of course. But I was like, yep. See, that's the brain that's coded to be able to house multiple languages. It's always just kind of impressed me how easy it is for Europeans to go back and forth from English to another language. When I was I was with a Norwegian girlfriend for a couple years, and she was a absolute genius with languages. I mean, this girl knew 5 languages, and if you heard her talk, she sounded amazingly American. You would never guess that she was not from Texas or something. It was nuts. And her mom was even smarter. Her mom knew 7 languages, dude. Like, what the heck? I don't even know one. There's English words that I'm nearly 75 years old, and I still haven't heard some of these languages, dude. So I haven't heard some of these not languages. I haven't heard some of these phrases in my own language. Now where I come from, it was basically, you would hear in Bermuda, you would hear a lot of British slang, you would hear a lot of Islander slang, and there was some Portuguese. It was in Bermuda. It's mostly Portuguese and English there. And some Spanish, I guess, but we didn't really hear a lot of it. It was mostly Islander and British slang. So when I got here, I was like, man, I sure hope I don't have a weird accent. And luckily, I don't. I mean, I can make it seem like I got a funny one, but you know, one of them Islanders from Bermuda. There is actually such thing as a Bermudian accent. It's a mixture between British, Australian, New Zealand, and Jamaican. It's if you ever meet anyone from Bermuda, it's wild to hear them speak. If they actually come from the island. A range upgrade. And I will take the pack, thank you. Book of Shadows should be good for 1 payout if we get lucky. Yep. Wasn't quite fast enough there, but we get ceremonial robes, and that's going to give us our HP back. Thank you, Demon Judgment. Definitely, I don't know if, I'm not sure how many YouTube videos exist on people actually from Bermuda. I was curious to see if my channel even ranked on the list of like YouTubers from Bermuda, and the answer is no. Anytime you search for like the most famous person from Bermuda, it's always Lena Headey. Right, she is the queen of famous people from Bermuda. She was born in Hamilton. Obviously, she's gorgeous. She's an amazing actress. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, by the way, she was in 300. She's probably best known for as Queen Cersei from Game of Thrones. She was born and raised in Hamilton, Bermuda. And suffice to say, I don't think I come anywhere close to Lena. I'd like to think I do, but I don't. Yeah, you won't be finding Sinvicta anywhere on the list of famous people from Bermuda. I think that there was a list of YouTubers who were from Bermuda, and I think the number 1 person had like 300,000 subscribers, something like that. But a lot of Instagram followers. I thought to myself, I could do that. Maybe they'll let me come back home one day. Yeah, unfortunately, you cannot be considered a natural-born Bermudian unless if your parents were Bermudian. Yeah, I forgot we had Polydactyl. I've been sitting here just yapping away. I'm gonna go back into the secret room. The Tinted Rock I missed, right? Meow. Right, meow. And you know what? Tinted Rock, you have to sit there and wait for that bomb to explode. You know what? I kind of fade Megamush sometimes. Today, this is not going to be one of those times, but I do sometimes fade it. What's happening here? Get out of here. It's unfortunate, but there are many people who were born and raised in Bermuda who are not considered to be Bermudian citizens by the government. They're not recognized as natural-born Bermudians, and it's weird because that's my country. That's like my home. You know, I was not born and raised anywhere else, and so we are treated. I am treated as an American. Which if I wanted to be naturalized as a Bermudian citizen and have dual citizenship, I would have to get special permission from the parliament, and also I believe move there, something like that. They keep changing the regulations about dual citizenship. But it's not like America where if you're just born here, you just become a citizen. I wish it was like that, but unfortunately it's not. Not in Bermuda. It's just the place is just too small. I'm gonna hold on to this reverse world card because I'm gonna use it for boss rush. And then we could probably do boss rush here with Mega Mush. Where are you going? Yeah. I mean, it's gonna give us speed no matter what. Yeah, I don't really want either one of you, so oh, you can have it. Yeah, it's a very it's kind of sad in a way. It kind of feels like you don't have a home country sometimes. It'd be nice. I mean, that's ultimately one of my big dreams is to be able to go back home. I would love to go back to the island and live out my days there in a nice peaceful cottage with air conditioning and just live on the island. If that day ever comes, you will never hear from me again. I would love that. That would be my goal, but you need a lot of money to live in Bermuda. So I gotta get YouTube famous. It's right now I'm on step 2. Right? I gotta get an established YouTube channel. Done. Next I gotta game the algorithm to get super mega Mr. Beast rich. And then step 3 is to buy my citizenship in Bermuda, which I think costs an annual. You have to pull in an annual income of like 3.5 mil minimum, something like that. It's been a long time since I've looked up the requirements. Anyway, Binding of Isaac. I'd like to get boss rush if we can. We've already been to the shop. We've already been to the item room. So if we can just go the right way for the boss rush. We can use either Mega Mush to get in there, or we can just simply use the reverse world card to get out. Doesn't matter to me, either one. We're going to use Mega Mush here to traverse the level just because I want to save time. I get the Fool card anyway, but I'd rather just use the I'd rather use the reverse world card. Gonna take the negative here, and we get the D Sizzle. Well, oh, don't mind if I do. It's not gonna open. Are you kidding me? Apparently it does not open until you're done with boss rush. That's news to me. It did not used to be like that, but that sounds like a Zombolas change if I've ever heard one. Yeah, well, apparently we have to do boss rush, so, which thankfully our damage is pretty good, especially now that we have the negative. Jerk. What are you doing, Steven? Dark matter causing all kinds of trouble right now. If we could just get Mega Mush recharged here, we're going to be just okay. Yeah, I massively respect people who know more than one language. Papa Victa tried to teach me Chinese when I was a kid. Then Grandpa Victa also, who was a professor of Chinese studies, he also tried to teach me, but by that point, I was already too old and too Americanized, if that makes sense, to really grasp a language as tough as Mandarin. That's not to say not out of lack of trying. It was almost impossible. By that point, I was playing football, I was in sports, and I didn't really care to learn a second language. And obviously, as I get older, I wish I would have. But what can you do? That's why I'd love to learn another language, just to show that my old brain can still do it. I'm very good at parroting what I hear, but not understanding what I'm saying when it comes to foreign languages. It's surprising what information I retain and what information I can't retain sometimes. Mega Mush absolutely dominating here, and yeah, you bet your bottom dollar we're gonna use D-Sizzle here. Thank you, Mega Mush, for all your service. Get Backstab. I do not want either one of those, although the D12 is quite nice. See, that's what I thought about using the D6 for, but had I gone down there, I knew that we were going to come back over here. It wasn't going to put us back in boss rush because it's already been past 20 minutes. If I could choose to learn just one extra language, just one language to learn, not out of usefulness, not out of trade or anything like that, just pure curiosity, and just because I think it sounds really cool when it's spoken. I've always really enjoyed listening to German. Spanish is really overwhelming to hear sometimes. German, I don't know. German and Norwegian both have always sounded like just pretty languages to hear. Now, I know that most people would think that I would say French or something like that, and the answer is no. I took French classes, and with all respect to French people out there, I don't like the way that French sounds. Now, what I will say, however, is those of you old school WoW fans out there, there is a very well-known classic legendary movie that was made called Naxxramas the Movie, and this one was back in the original Nax from vanilla WoW. I'm not talking about the remake and classic. I'm talking about actual Nax, and it was done by someone named Jack, I think, and they were French. They did an English version and they did a French version of this particular movie. And the English was, it was what you would expect from amateur back in the early or the late 2000s PvP sort of WoW player experience, right? So nothing incredible. But the French lines though that they got from the game, holy smokes. The French lines that they used from WoW, from the French client, oh my gosh, they sounded amazing. So that is one of the few times I will say that French sounded good to me in my brain, was listening to the French version of World of Warcraft from a PvE movie. Another Curse the Blind here. But yeah, German's always just sounded cool to me. I didn't really know anything about Norwegian until I dated Norwegian. And listening to her and her mom and her dad talk to each other was like I was watching cinema. Oh my gosh. Now, Icelandic. Now, that's a crazy language right there. I mean, Chinese is pretty crazy, but Icelandic? Shoot. And then you go past that, you go to, like, Finnish. Finnish or like, Old Gaelic. Or some of the old ancient Celtic languages. Just... Dude, I don't even know. I can read the language, I can read the letters or characters that are on a piece of paper and still don't know how they actually sound. Like that language is just it sounds insane to me that people can even read that. Remember, this is coming from an ignorant American, so you got to forgive me on that. No me fio. C. Now I know that after watching this, yeah, we don't see what we're taking here. I see Alex over there. He's rubbing his grubby little hands. I can hear the gears grinding. See the visions. I know what Alex is thinking. He's already planning to make this a short. He's already thinking, see. De gusto. Know it. I know. I know it. Know what he's thinking. He always does this. Worked together too long for me not to know his tendencies. Now, if I really wanted to confuse him, I would just say a bunch of gibberish in English and then have him try to use the translate feature to write subtitles. But I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. That wouldn't be very bomb diggity of me. That wouldn't be very highly ho neighborino of me. That wouldn't be very cash money of me. Why would I do that to my cohort and pal, compadre, comrade, Alex, muchacho? Now he's really confused. Yeah, I can see, I visualize him kind of stroking his chin a little bit, being like, saying something smart, Alecky, but I don't know what he's meaning. And then go to him on a drawing board with like a picture of my face on it, and the whiteboard with trying to connect the strings, trying to figure out which part of what letter goes here. Yeah, I know it. What he's doing. 6% chance for Eternal Hearts. Well, we don't need the Devil Deal anymore for this, because, yeah. I don't think I've ever seen a golden Bible tract before. No, game, no. Pretty sure I dodged that one. Watching it the entire time. Well, we have plenty of rerolls for something that we have nothing to reroll with. Backstabber and Maw of the Void. Thank you very much, Jelly Belly. Now that one would have been my fault, 100%. I straight up watched that one run right into Isaac. Gonna bounce. He's gonna bounce. Try to bounce. Just wait till I start singing the lyrics to "Ice Cream Paint Job" by Duro. Then try to have Alex translate those. Curse of the Lost. I think we had a curse on almost every single floor. Almost every single floor. Deuce's Shadow. Mom's Knife. I'm tempted to get Juice's Shadow, but we'll wait and see for now. It's the name of a Slipknot song that I do not like. I guess it's not that bad. Slipknot's just one of those bands that, I don't know. They have a couple of okay songs. The thing that I've never enjoyed about Slipknot, and this is just me being, I guess, a musician nerd, but the drums. Like, Joey Jordison's one of the best drummers ever. He was an amazingly talented drummer. But I never really enjoyed the way that Slipknot mixes their drums, their kit. It sounds flat to me. I don't know why. Just go to Wait and Bleed. Just listen to that song and tell me that the kick drums always sound like they sound like someone eating sunflower seeds. It's weird than spitting them out. Like that's and the snare drum doesn't sound any better. It always sounds like there's a ring or two loosed off of that. So I don't know. I've always just Slipknot and that and Corey Taylor's kind of a jerk from what I've been told and seen. It really kind of affects the way that I see musicians and bands. Take Scott Stapp, for example. I do like some Creed songs. Not all Creed songs, but there's probably, I'd say, a handful of songs that I'm an enjoyer of. Scott Stapp is just a giant jerk. It's the most YouTube friendly way I can say that. Same thing goes for Sully Erna. Now this actually comes from personal experience. I've seen Godsmack live before, and I actually hung out with Sully after one of the shows they did down here a long time ago. And dude, it was honestly, it was sad for me because I was a big Godsmack fan. But the guy was just a total douche. Very, I don't know. It's like he just felt like he was better than everybody. And I really don't get along with people like that, no matter if they're famous or not. And it was very obvious from being around him for about 10 seconds that he was going to be like that. I was like, oh man, that sucks. What can you do? Oh, what can you do? When Godsmack first came out, I thought I felt that they were just the biggest poser metal band that's ever posed to be a metal band. Oh my Gertie. Well, we got to take quad shot. I'm not going to take vasculitis. I don't like vasculitis. It causes you to think that there are tears flying at you when there's not. And it can cause you to actually inadvertently run into an actual tear. Yeah, when Godsmack first came out, I thought that it was when Whatever first came out. I thought to myself, man, this is just awful. This is a band that's trying to sound like a metal band but isn't. And the singer is just ripping off James and all this stuff. Sully has that sort of yeah, you know, that's that thing. So I wasn't a big fan of Godsmack, but then I listened to them I heard their album, and I legally purchased it. November Victor 6 Golf. Yeah. Yeah. My best friend Justin is laughing right now, I bet. We've been silly today. This is what happens when we finally get a good run here from the start instead of November making us wait for a little bit. And hey, we were right. We were right with what we said yesterday. 1 on, 1 off so far. That seems to be the case in November. Had a pretty doo-doo run yesterday, and now look at this. Got our first victory lap of the month. But then I got their debut album through totally legal and proper means, and listened to it, and it was pretty good. I liked it. Whatever ended up becoming one of my favorite songs by Godsmack, and my favorite song is track 6 off of their first album called Immune. That song is as simple as I can actually play that song on guitar. That's how you know that it's a simple song. But the midsection and the outro to that song is so simple. The dun 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 dun. I listened to that song maybe 100 times in a row, just because it scratched that itch that I want out of a hard rock song. It's repetitive and it's heavy and it's got a simple drum line, and it was just great. It was great. So I was super stoked to see Godsmack live. They played with Power Man or Static X, one of the two. Soul of Eden. And then for one of the shows at a much smaller venue than what they're probably playing now, the whole band was kind of like, whoops, I didn't mean to do that, but hey. And we get Guppy! The whole band, oh my gosh, we get Super Guppy. I really want Piercing here, but it would kill our tears rate. I will take Succubus, I guess. We haven't even been to the shop, or we haven't been to the item room yet. And the whole band was hanging out. They weren't big enough to just separate themselves from the small venue. This is when they were first coming out, and I went and saw them. And after they're done with their set or whatever, they came off stage and went backstage, and then they were just out. They were just out hanging out with people, and that's how I was able to hang out with Sully and the rest of the band. And that's when I figured out that, man, that guy, that little guy he's an angry feller. He does not like people. Some other Godsmack songs that are okay. I actually really dislike Voodoo. That's the one that you hear all the frats sing, like, oh, it's the most classic rock song of all time, Voodoo by Godsmack. I'm like, no, it's not. Good try there. Kyle. How do you know you're listening to a Godsmack song? Because the title has one word in it. That's all you got to know. Whatever. Immune. Voodoo. Faceless. There's no subtleties there. You gotta have that one word title. Make your band really pop. Now, of course, the Word of Lauder, we also have a couple of one-word titles, but not a lot of them. There's only a couple that I can think of. We have Sunder, Stray, Thrive. Chaos State. And that's it, I think. So far, anyway. Those are the only ones I can think of, anyway. Ancient Recall. Ancient Recall is going to drop 3 cards on the ground, which we can pick from, and none of them were worth it, so we're just going to move on. I would like to get 9 lives. That'd make me feel a little bit better. Not that we're in danger, of course, but ooh, there you go. The Golden Bible track finally starting to pull its weight here. Had you for an entire run, you didn't give us anything. Not actually true. We had it since Shoal, but I'm going to pretend I'm outraged because that's what people do these days. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. I'm all out of squeaks. I don't know what the saying is. Don't listen to me. Look, it's Tuesday. I gotta get pumped up for tonight. We always have a good time on Tuesdays. Mosh Pit always comes out and shows up. We hit a couple of membership goals last week, which was awesome. And the live streams are just a different vibe. People talk about vibes these days. I don't have to be as I wouldn't say serious. In these videos here for our regular Eden runs and stuff, it's a little formal, I would say. Just because I kind of have this routine that I go about whenever I make these videos. You know what to expect. Sometimes we got to go in deep strategies. Sometimes we get silly. Sometimes we get angry. It's a whole bevy of emotions that this game can bring out in a serious player. I don't know if I consider myself a serious player. I would just consider myself just a player of the game who just so happens to have played the game for over 11 damn years now. Crazy to think how far Isaac has taken the channel. And if I had listened to Husky and never went with his silly thought of you can't keep covering this game. It's killing your channel. Oh, silly Husky. Now he's not even doing YouTube anymore. I mean, I guess technically he's still doing it with Bro, but that doesn't count. That doesn't count. He's not on camera anymore. The XL. Look, I'll always take the opportunity to rip on Husky, okay? Husky's one of my best friends. But I'll rip on him though. That's how you know I like you. If I pick on you, that's my love language right there. It's kind of how I test people in a way. See if they're cool enough to hang around. You got to take a little ribbing, you got to take a little joking, A little light humor, a little light toasting. If you can't handle it, you get upset. Then you know what? I don't think we can be cool with each other. I gotta be able to rip you from time to time, and feel free to rip me. I do plenty of that myself. See, with me, I get ahead of the self. I get ahead of the hemming and hawing and ripping of friends because I jump ahead of it with the self-deprecation humor. And I think that having that kind of that sort of level of self-deprecating, that for me it keeps you honest. Like I know that I'm not gonna be able to get away with anything untrue or nothing true to myself because I'll call myself out on it. Really, a weird way to live, but it's the God's honest truth. I'll let you know when I screwed up. Let you know when I made mistakes. I'll be the first one to be mad at myself for doing something dumb. Happens all the time. More times than I care to admit, but I will always admit whenever I'm just wrong. You have that sort of clairvoyant eureka moment of you know what? They're right and I'm wrong. It does absolutely nothing for anybody to try to fight against a point that you already know that you're wrong in. Once you've come to that realization, just you gotta give it up. Admit you were wrong and just move on. Everyone's faster. You gain nothing. No one gains anything from trying to argue a point that you absolutely know you're just, without a shadow of a doubt, wrong on. 110% categorically wrong on. And the sooner that you can come up to that level of understanding, the happier everybody is. What is this email I got? Hang on. I saw the title of this pop on my screen just now. It's currently 7:50 in the morning, because I don't know who the heck's email. Oh, okay. I'm not going to read this because it's a representative of some company. We attempted to connect via agency, but it seems we didn't receive a response, so I'm writing this to you personally, and then proceeds to go about their spiel. That's always a trip. These days, I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. Like I said earlier in this episode, I always hope that there's more good than bad out there. And I still do. I always hope the heroes win. I always hope that the good guys defeat the bad guys, blah, blah, blah. But you get a little older and you start getting a little skeptical. You've gone through the ringer with some folks throughout your years. You've seen the good and bad of people. And you might be thinking, well, you're just being senile or whatever. Maybe overly skeptical. Well, I don't know about that, because my instincts these days kick off with what is this? What ulterior motive is this person trying to pull? Give you an example. I'm not going to name names, just again out of respect. This is a true story. I used to go to a local trading card shop, and I took my business elsewhere after I discovered that they were basically scalping. They were buying stuff secondhand and then selling it third hand. So, for example, a box of Magic cards, which would typically cost about $180 for a draft booster, they were charging $300 for. And that's so, and they also deliberately didn't put out price tags, which I called the owner out on, which he replied, well, if we paid $200 for a box, then our markup is 50%. I'm like, you are out of your GD mind. So this is the reason why I stopped doing that. I'm not going more into that, but there was a guy who worked up there, and he was cool. Just a dude working at a card shop. We had good conversations, just typical nerd stuff. It's well known, if you've been around me, the people who know me, it's well known that I'm very generous. I enjoy seeing other people have fun. I enjoy the enjoyment of others, knowing that I was able to kind of, I used to, for game nights, I used to buy a booster box for the entire store and just give out packs to people, even people I didn't know, because it's fun. That's enjoyment for me. Doing something that most people usually don't do. So I don't make it. It's not a secret that I'm generous when it comes to that kind of just stuff, just random gifts and stuff like that, because it makes me feel good sometimes. So with that being said, this person who worked there, cool guy, never had a problem with him. He sent me a text out of nowhere a couple of days ago. I mean, out of nowhere. The last time I talked to this man was last December, and it was when I had the falling out with the store that he worked at over the scalp prices, and then the owner reinforcing that business practice. And I was like, dude, you're speaking to someone who's in the card business. That's ridiculous, right? That was the last time I spoke to this guy, and he sent me a text basically. I was already skeptical because I hadn't spoken to him in literally over a year. And then the way it was worded was just, I just got the wrong, it was ringing the wrong bells for me. Something was very odd about this, very awkward, very, very weird that he would just text me out of nowhere. And the text basically went something to the effect of, hey, I don't. He knows my name. He was like, hey, I know that you may have donated to help my pet with their surgery, and I just wanted to say thank you. No, I'll read the text right now. I ain't scared. He said, hey, this is so-and-so. I believe you donated to help me get my dog Blank's surgery. Wanted to reach out to everyone who's helped and update that he was admitted to the animal hospital last night. They'd be there for 3 days. Be okay. Surgery is fine. And thank you so much for your ongoing help. And I read that, and at first I was like, why is this person reaching out to me? Because I haven't talked to him in a year. Secondly, I didn't even know he had a dog. So I definitely didn't donate, whatever. And then the cynic in me starts coming out, and I start thinking to myself, this sounds like a little bit of a phishing attempt. If the dog was admitted to the hospital, and ongoing support, sounds to me like, I don't know. I just didn't get the right vibe from it. And at the end of the day, I kind of thought to myself, he probably wants me to make a donation, which I will not be doing. But that's just kind of the thing that when you get older, you start to really suspect everything that people say and tell you. I'm not saying that I do that to every person I interact with. It's just you go off of situations, you go off of vibes, whatever they call it these days. And you kind of I can usually suss out someone's motivations pretty quickly. And that's the reason why I never got along with the Twitch crowd. Back in 2014, when I was doing a thing for Blizzard at BlizzCon. Twitch, who was still in their kind of infancy at the time, they were hosting a party. It was like a rooftop party in Anaheim, and they had all the if you name an extremely high up person at Twitch, you probably have named them at that party. And it was a lot of feeling of, we run the industry, the streaming world doesn't know what's about to hit it type deal. You know those type of people. And not all of the people at there were like that, but even the streamers who were attending, and just LA vibes, you know what I mean? You get the sense that these people are just trying to run some type of game on you, and you don't want any part of it. That's how I felt. And everyone I spoke to that shook my hand, handed me a business card, telling me to sign with their MCN and all this stuff, they all had the same spiel, just the sort of grimy, grody type of language that they were using. A really, hey, you might want to get with us type, to create FOMO type deal. You know the types I'm talking about. And I didn't get along with any of that type of business practice. This is not me, man. It's not me. If I suspect that someone's trying to run something on me or trying to exploit me or take advantage of me, I'm out. And there's no getting that back. Ever. It's kind of like, in a way, dealing with people is kind of like taking your business to other locations for me. Once I've been wronged, I'm not coming back. I always give people an even level, an even keel to operate off of. And if you break that trust, for me, I'm out. I don't know, it's because I'm part Irish, I don't know if it's because I'm a tourist. I don't know. I don't think it comes from the Chinese side. But yeah, I'm done. I'll be taking my life elsewhere. And that's what I kind of had to do with when I first started doing YouTube full time, is the people who were telling me that it's not going to work, it's a dumb idea, it's just video games, you're not going to do anything with your life. All you want to do is just create an excuse to play video games, basically. And those are the ones that I basically just said, you know what, I don't need them in my life anymore. I'm happier, much happier, reducing my circle of influence with people and increasing it. I don't need to be surrounded by naysayers, the real negative Nancys, you know. And by the same token, I don't need to be surrounded by the people who are in the industry trying to obviously make money somehow. You know, I've been asked before, would I rather be the size of like a Queso or a Kai Cenat or Mr. Beast or something like that, but have to not be myself? The answer is no. No, I wouldn't. I don't know any of those guys personally. I don't watch any of them personally. I think that it requires, I would say, some level of talent to get up to that level of fame and fortune, for sure. It also requires a lot of luck too, and a lot of who do you know in the industry type deal. And that was just something I was just never, I was never privy to. I never cared about that. You know, when I was probably, I would say probably the most famous person I know on YouTube, for YouTube famous, is definitely Rosanna. And I've never once asked her, hey, could you plug this video for me, or do you want to collab, or, you know, like, I've never asked my friends for any of that. I don't think you earn respect by doing that. And you also don't learn anything. You gotta grow yourself on your own merits, not off of the coattails of others. When I was an up and comer, I didn't have TB, I didn't have Husky or anybody plugging my channels. I was just on the grind, really making it for myself. Now, of course, they offered to help. They offered wisdom. They offered some guidance and stuff that I was not too familiar with in the industry. TB taught me a lot about the ins and outs of working with other people. Husky taught me more about the YouTube side of stuff. But they never really directly were just, hey, by the way, Sinvicta's got a channel, go subscribe to him too. Now, Husky was doing that towards the end with Bronze League Heroes, but by that point I kind of carved out my little niche of doing Heroes of the Storm and Air Amazing and stuff like that. So of course my channel wasn't huge. My channel still isn't huge, but it was respectable enough to not have promoted or had anyone's help doing it. You know, I was fine. A couple thousand subscribers, more than I ever thought I would ever have. Oh my gosh, there's 3 bosses over here. None of them are Delirium. Well, this run really came together here. Yeah, we don't need 9 lives. Sorry, 9 lives. We're already guppy. We're just going for stats at this point. What a run. A very rant-heavy run today. But, I mean, that's what happens. You know, that's what happens when you get a run like this, where it's just nothing to really talk about. Oh, we killed this room in 10 seconds. Took us way longer than our usual 2-second clear, you know? That's how you know we're in a comfy run. We're just talking about life sometimes. That's what you get here. Newer subscribers, it's still very, I will admit this. I'm very, very willing and free and able to admit that it's a little surreal having people who've never watched any of my videos before, have no prior knowledge of who I am, after being on YouTube for so long, to join through the Mega Bonk or the Ball Pit content and then realize, oh, you play The Binding of Isaac. That's cool. I really like that game. that it's surreal to me because I haven't seen or heard of that in years on YouTube. And it's great. It's phenomenal. I love hearing it because that tells me that the channel is growing again, finally. You know, our channel here doesn't move very often. You know, we've got a very loyal, dedicated core set of Mosh Pit members, and they're the ones who keep me going. They're the ones who allow me to do this as a career. And I can't thank you enough. And for those of you who are new members of the Mosh Pit, don't forget. See, I'm a master of segues. Don't forget that coming up tonight here on YouTube, be streaming live Binding of Isaac, Mega Bonk. Probably not Ball Pit because we've obviously got some back episodes that need to go out this week, but just good vibes, good times, you know? Maybe we might even open a Pokemon card or two tonight. Who knows? We'll go where the seas take us or something. Thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you had a fantastic start to your Tuesday on this very, very long, very rant-heavy episode. If you enjoyed yourself, make sure you click the like button, or if you at least like my content and you'd like to support it, it's the best way to do so. And, of course, if you enjoyed even more, feel free to consider subscribing here. We'd love to have you in the Mosh Pit. Join the Discord. Check out the Patreon, all that kind of good stuff. And thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. And as always, I will see you all next time. Until then, so long, everybody. Thanks for watching this video. Like this pages of mine like Joshua Flanagan, CTop18, G-Ben Gaijing, and Danielle Parisi. If you'd like to have your name read at the end of the Isaac episode, check out my Patreon campaign, which you can find at patreon.com/Invicta.